right, welcome back. We were just talking about the tank that got submerged, and during a commercial we were talking about how to see about getting it out. I don't know if you're going to...
Yeah, getting it out presented a challenge because you ended up, we kind of had to wade one about halfway in, hook up some cables behind the other one, and then get a scuba diver to run out to the other one.
Right.
So this guy would back up, and then he would back up, pull the tank up, and then they back up and back up. And finally we got it out. It was a big production. It took an entire day to do, but it was something we talked about forever.
And we were saying, just mentioning during the commercial, that it was each unit only has so many of these recoveries,
exactly.
And you had one already sunk, and you had two more, and you had five.
A total of 5 in the unit. So we had 5 of them in the unit. One was done because it was drowned. It turned into a submarine. And the other 2 had hooked up to him to pull it out. So then, and when we actually got back, we found out that one of the other ones that was in the rear was still broke. So we were really lucky to get this thing out.
Yeah, like we said, I imagine telling the first sergeant what happened was not
the first sergeant, the motor sergeant, the commander. Those guys weren't very happy.
A lot of explaining to do.
I mean, we actually did services on that same thing 6 months later and found goldfish in the bottom of it.
It became a training tool.
It really did. Well, yeah. You know, because
you couldn't use it for anything.
Well, you had to empty everything. You had to renew everything, take all the fluids out, and you're not talking about a little bit of fluid. You're talking, a hydraulic tank that's got 250, 300 gallons of hydraulic fluid in it. Fuel cells that carry, I don't even remember anymore, 400, 500 gallons of fuel. So you had to dispose of all of that.
You're talking about water in the gas.
Yeah, you're talking about water in the gas, water in the hydraulic fluids, everything. And it was basically, we rebuilt the whole thing. But
nice
I mean,
project.
It was honestly, I mean, it was good training for those guys. They wish it never happened, but it was still good training. So.
Now, what was your rank at that time? By this time, what year was around
that was in my 3rd year, and I was just getting ready to go to the sergeant's board. But then I kind of decided, the Army really wasn't my thing. So I took out. I went and a little bit of break in service, and they call it ETSing, your time of service. Came home in Las Vegas, of course, is home.
All right.
Putzed around for a little bit and said, I kind of miss it. Strange as it was. Jump back in. And of course, when I jumped back in, that's when I went to jump school and went to Fort Bragg, and we did all of that. When we continued it, my wife was not real happy with the full-time Army. She didn't like those 2 o'clock in the morning phone calls saying, hey, you got to come because we're going to Grenada, or we're going to Panama, or we're going there or that or there.
Right.
Wasn't her favorite thing. So we had to compromise. I said, look, I got all this time in now. By then I'd had 6, almost 8 years in. I said, I gotta do something with it. I can't just pitch it away. So I rotated over into the National Guard. And through the National Guard, I ended up doing even more. They started asking for guys that could shoot. I was like, well, I can shoot pretty good. And so through that, I joined the North Carolina, because that's where we were at the time, the North Carolina National Guard pistol marksmanship team. And I carried an M60 machine gun and shot, and I don't know if everybody knows what a patent match is, but basically you do a physical agility run, and then you come back and shoot. And the guys that get the most accurate shots, of course, are the winners. We ended up doing that, and I ended up with just shelves of trophies, and went on to regional matches and actually international matches after that. I went on to actually compete in Puerto Rico against the Marines at Camp Lejeune.
Okay.
Not as good as the Marines. I got to tell you, the Marines have a great shooting program. They really do. And so they didn't stomp us, but we had to buy them the beer that night.
Give them a run for the money.
Yeah, we made them work for it. So, and all through that time, I was still assigned to a unit, and I had to be, as a mechanic there. And then I ended up coming back home and jumped in with the 221 there in Vegas. And,
over by Nellis?
Yep. Rode with the cab for a long time. Spent almost 10 years with the 221st.
Really?
And about the time towards the ending years, the last about 19 or 20 years now served, the sergeant major from the NCO OCS Academy happened to be in our armory. And she was about that tall. So that's about 4'7", 4'8". Real short, just barely made it to height.
Really?
Fiery, just one of those people you could not say no to. She comes up, says, "Sergeant Biggle, I need to talk to you." I was like, "Yes, ma'am, let's go." She says, "I'm looking for instructors at my academy. This is what we do." And we, and you take the guys in, and they learn their basic leadership skills. They go through the OCS Academy. They,
all right,
get your, I don't know, in the Marines, in the Army, you have to have a basic leadership course to get your E5, and then an advanced course to get 6, and then another course after that to get 7.
Yeah, we got NCO Academy.
Okay. And that's, and she says, "I'm looking for somebody that's going to do that. I want somebody that's not the normal sergeant, that's not the normal anything." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" She says, "Well, I know that you were promoted to motor sergeant as an E5, and that you had to, and I had to recruit my own mechanics out of a crew because there wasn't any. I was it. And so, as a motor sergeant, you had to recruit people, you had to train them, and that's the kind of thing I'm looking for." So when I finished it out, I ended up spending 4 years with the Nevada NCO OCS Academy as cadre. And that was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of really nice guys. I never had to break starch, though.
Really?
For those that are familiar with that term. You go in a nice pressed uniform, your boots are spit shine, your hair's just right, and you just never have to worry about it. So, you're not going outside. You're going to sit in the office, and it doesn't matter what kind of blizzard's going on up there, because it was in Reno. And in Reno, it's cold. So,
did you get a meritorious promotion out of that, or?
Actually, I had worked through, when she'd come up to see me, I was already E6.
All right. And
then I had worked on it and gotten my E7 just prior to going there. And so, while I was there, I was at E7, and when I retired, she kind of did the Gibbs thing on NCIS. So he comes up and bam, smacks you in the back of the head. But she had me slated to go to E8 school.
Oh, really?
And
at that
I
time
was done. I had 24 years in, and the next wife said, "You know what? You're done. You're coming home." So that's the way that went. But I still see some of the guys, and it's surprising because you don't forget those people, and a lot of those people, regardless of what happens, you end up running into them wherever you're at.
Run into just one since I've been out, and end of this month I've been retired 13 years.
Yeah, see? And I've been retired for about 5 years now. The funny thing is, when I retired, I couldn't sit still. It wasn't in my nature. And I had always done something in a service type thing. I've always, been a servant of the people somehow. So, of course, the natural progression was either to be a cop or a firefighter. Well, I tried the cop when I was in North Carolina. I volunteered, spent a couple years, with it. Actually ended up 4 years with a department, and that was a great department. In fact, just recently talked to the sheriff there. He was my captain, which, congratulated him on his success. But it wasn't my world. I kind of like to get waved with all 5 fingers. I won't show the alternative, but so the cop thing went away, and I switched over and went into EMS and fire, and now I work here.
You have a rank here, or
firefighter? That's
firefighter?
it. That's all it is.
You going to try to go up the ladder, so to speak, over here now, or?
Our department's kind of really a blessing in its own right, because the things that we do, the things that are done, we don't need to have those ranks. We have, we have a lieutenant, and we have our chief, and that's what we need.
And that's it. You just got your watch commander, and
we operate so much on a we just know what's going on with each other. It's such a finely tuned machine, and it's really an incredible work environment, because we get a chance to do things that nobody else would ever get to do. You know, just one of our fire crews will do, and I'm throwing it out there, you know, we'll do whatever an entire station will do in Vegas.
Really?
We're always on the go, always.
Yeah, when I listen to my scanner, I can hear that.
Yeah.
So,
so you know, our guys are probably the highest trained firefighters you've ever seen, and probably the most dedicated.
and how many years have you been doing this now?
I'm in my 7th, coming on 8.
Really? Already? Wow.
With Pahrump. And then I did 3 years prior to that in Vegas as EMT.
Jeez. Well,
So
another career.
Another career, you know, I couldn't sit still.
Well, we're retired and we're still working.
Yeah,
Just,
you know, and that's the thing, you know, retired at a young age, you just can't sit still. You got to get out and do something. And
Well,
so, you know, mine was, to continue to serve, the people of our community and the people of Pahrump in this case. Before that, it was our nation. So
sounds like a plan. Well, it sounds like we're running out of time. So I enjoy having you on the show.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
Getting close to my Friday.
That's all right. Another cup of coffee fixes that stuff.
So thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week. And remember, over 5,000 veterans in Nye County. You have a story. I want to hear it, and I want to share it with everyone else. Hope to see you next week. Until then, Semper Fi, be safe. Thank you.
Thanks.
Enjoyed you on the show.
Yeah.